Good morning, Albert JTV, and most importantly, Arsenal community. Welcome to your regular 9 a.m. slot on a Sunday morning. Well, depending on where you are in the world, of course. But people, let's get into it. Crystal Palace 1, the mighty Arsenal 5. Christmas has come early. But before we get into it, chop it up, dissect it, and talk a little bit about football. Let's smash the Albert JTV intro. And I can see the logic behind the signing, even though some Arsenal fans...
We actually worked a good passage of play.
Arsenal and footballing community. Like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Albert JTV. Yes, welcome back to Albert JTV. Big up to the Arsenal and Albert JTV community as usual. And as you come in to the stream, when you watch it back, of course, smash the like button through the ballpark, through the roof. Smash it anywhere if you can. But people, good morning to you, man, wherever you are. 3 days before Christmas. I hope everybody has done their Christmas shopping, food shopping, present shopping, buying for this person, buying for that person. Get it done. Don't do no last minute rushes. I've never done it. I'm never going to start doing it. Get it out the way as early as possible if you can, man. But big up to the Arsenal community. Listen, like I said, man, I like doing the Sunday morning shows, man. It's good for the soul, especially after Arsenal win on the road in a London derby. I think I saw Palace have not lost in 8 games in all comps. So we're playing a Palace team that's coming into good form, to be fair. But people, like I said, smash the like button when you come in. And also, audio listeners, please, you will never be forgotten. You know this by now, but I like to keep repeating it. This will go out on the audio a little bit later on your Spotify and Apple, most likely, but wherever you get your podcast from. And subscribe and follow. And most importantly, people, I have to say this because I don't say it enough, actually. For audio listeners, press the follow button on Apple and also on Spotify. And you've got my Instagram and Twitter handle going along the bottom of the screen. Yeah, man, so let's get into it, man. People in the chat already. Suj is there, man. Big up to you, my guy, man. What's the time in Australia now, man? Talk to me. Yeah, this light's a bit bright, man. Let me turn it down. I'm looking like Casper the Ghost. That's a bit better. Yeah, man. Listen, Arsenal had to go and do what they needed to do. Back-to-back games against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup in the week, obviously, and a big away game at Palace yesterday. But yeah, let's look at it. Let's go into it, man. Team lineup. So we had. Let's go into it quickly. Firstly, there was enough there to beat Palace. They had Ebere as a missing, which was a big blow for them, foot injury. And I think that's a good thing for us that he wasn't playing, to be fair. But quickly go through lineup. So we have Davray in goal, Yurin Timber at right back, Saliba, Gabriel Margalez, Lewis Skelly again playing at left back, gives balance to the back four. Havertz, Partey, Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli. Now, for me, and along with many Arsenal fans, in regards to Gabriel Jesus, he had to keep his place. You can't score a hat-trick a few days before and then they put back on the bench, because I'm not a manager, but you know, confidence is a fine thing in football, as we know, man. And gets a hat-trick in the week against Palace. You know, there was talk he hadn't scored at the Emirates, I think, since December 2023 before that game. Wow. And I mean, yesterday, apparently he hadn't scored in 24 matches. That's a long time not to score a goal for any position and player in a team, but more so because you're a striker. That's quite a bad record, really bad record. It's 7:05. Blood, love, bro. Thank you for joining in, man. So yeah, we knew about his goal drought, but he had to start. But I knew Havertz to come back into the team. He would shoehorn him into the team because, as I said before with Mikel, he does have his trusted lieutenants who will play, and Havertz obviously came back into the midfield and played in sort of the kind of the 8 role. I was a bit surprised that I say surprised. Am I surprised really? If I'm going to be honest, let me check myself. I knew Havertz would come back in, but also you looked at the balance side. You could have played Mika Moreno there. You could have done, but he didn't. It's good to see Partey playing back in midfield. And obviously, you know, we've got a game to win. But one thing Arsenal haven't done well this season, I'd have to go over it statistically, but we don't really start games well. And what I mean by start games well is get goals up in the first 10, 15 minutes. We absolutely did that. We got the guy in 5 minutes. And it was a good finish, man. Listen, we Saka, again, doing his trademark thing, goes down the byline, gets the ball back into the box. And Jesus puts us 1-0 up. And you know what? Gabriel's done a good piece of work there. You probably would have seen it highlighted, but when the cross has come in, it's gone over his head. He's obviously shielded the ball. Jesus has done the thing, looking along the line, knowing when to penetrate and come in towards the box, and a good solid connection. He puts us 1-0 up. And it's a great start. It's a dream start, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, so his last goal was January 23, 325 days, man. My word. But listen, the old saying in London, you wait for one London bus to come along, 2, 3, 4, 5, then come along at once. But yeah, a great start for Arsenal, a superb start for Arsenal. You couldn't have had it any better. And what it does when you score early, particularly away from home, one, it settles you down a bit more, and two, it kind of throws the game plan out for the home team. So what a great start, a brilliant start actually. You couldn't have complained. So Jesus, again, confidence of the back of scoring 3 goals against Palace in the Carabao Cup, gets one in the first few minutes, and we're thinking, you know what, this is going to be a good day at Selhurst Park. But how wrong was I? We had the warning sign with the David Raya pass, which, you know, he's played a blind pass. I think it was to Thomas Partey, with his back to the play, and a ricochet, and it goes wide for a goal kick. So that was the first warning sign. And then subsequently, a minute later, they get the goal with Ismail Assar. There's 2 things for me that were an issue with that goal. I don't know what you guys think in the chat when you watch it back. Thomas Partey's got to bust a gut to get to Ismail Assar. That's the first thing. And Saliba's got to commit. You can't back off. You've got enough players, Arsenal players, within a defensive unit at that point before he gets a shot off. Fair play to him. It's a good strike. And David Raya's beaten. And before we know it, it's 1-1. But one thing for me during that sort of first half, especially, let me come back to it. Let me say hello to a few people in the chat, audio listeners. Go on, Jenny. Love Jenna. Hope to see you soon. I don't know if you're going to Ipswich. Let me know, because I do have the ticket for that. Yeah, very pleased for him. Very pleased for him. He's had a rough year, kind of 18 months, really. Form-wise, goal-scoring-wise, link-up play-wise, warming the bench, many different factors. My concern, Suj, come to you. My concern with the week just gone, Jesus could have scored at least 2 more yesterday. Now 5 goals in 2 games. I can see Arsenal bringing in a striker because of Jesus and Kai. We need a new number 9. I said it on Dan's channel when I was on the 12th Man podcast on Tuesday. And I said Arsenal fans need to taper their expectation come January transfer windows for a number of years. It's not just the one coming. Because don't be surprised if Arsenal only bring in 1 in terms of a player coming in. Don't ask me what position, because I've got no idea. You could ask me what I would like. That's an easier question. But in terms of what I feel was going to come in, I've got no idea. Arsenal fans need to taper their expectation come January. And I shouldn't have to say that, because if you're an Arsenal fan, irrespective of your age, you should know, looking at Arsenal transfer activity in the last 5 to 10 years, it's either not what it should be. It's not an impossible market, but it's a difficult market to get your number one assets or your priority signings. It doesn't really happen. In terms of the striker thing, I think for me, to answer it quickly, Suj, I think we'll have to wait till the summer. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've said it on my channel. You know who I want as a striker, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, personally. But I can see Benjamin Sesko in an Arsenal shirt. Mark my words. Arsenal wanted him before. I think the interest is probably still there. He's still young enough to develop a bit more in his game. He's a tall lad, Sesko. He's about 6'4", I think he is. He's a big lad. So it shows you from a direction point of view where Arsenal kind of want to go, to have a bit more flexibility and fluidity. Let me come to the chat quickly, man. Go on, Russ. Love Russ, man. Send you a virtual hug, mate. Good morning, Albert. Martinelli on the right. Hallelujah. See playing around Peganus round hole brings. What I don't understand with that is, sort of coming to Russ's point quickly before I come back to what I was saying about January. Arsenal under Mikel, I'd say probably 2 seasons ago, you saw a bit more fluidity in terms of Saka and Martinelli switching over. Now, whether that's down to the manager or the players are saying, you know what, we're not getting a tune out of our fullbacks on either side, depending, where Saka and where Martinelli play. But that's completely gone out the window. I didn't see that at all last season. If you did, then tell me in the chat. I've definitely not seen it this season. I just think sometimes you've got to give the opposing fullbacks a bit of a different look. I don't know if we're so rigid that the manager just doesn't allow it, or maybe the players need to say sometimes in game, sod it, for 5-10 minutes, we're switching over. Because what it is, when Martinelli plays on the left, I mean, listen, you can know what an attacking player is going to do. It doesn't mean you can necessarily stop him. But I think with him, it's become easier for fullbacks or right backs to know what he's going to do. I think when he plays on the right-hand side, he hasn't got to think about doing a trick here or there, because he's obviously right-footed. It's easier for him to get the ball into the box. And he put some good crosses in when he switched over to the right. But I would personally like to see a little bit more interchange, is the right word I'm looking for, within our whole front line, if I'm going to be honest. Not just potentially Martinelli coming on the right and then being on the left, and Saka, which Saka will touch on, because when it looks like we're not going to have him for a few games. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the thing with Mikel in terms of his coaching, tactically, substitutions. It's too reactive. Something has to happen, an injury, as Russ has mentioned, or an injury is a prime example. Right, let me get a drink, man. Jesus, man. Dry mouth syndrome. Apologies, people. But yeah, come back to January. Yeah, Arsenal fans, taper your expectations. Because I made the reference point on Dan's channel on Tuesday on the 12th Man podcast. When we was going for top 4, remember what happened in January? We bought no one. We bought 2 of the MLS players that we wasn't going to play. One got loaned out to. We bought Austin Trusty and Matt Turner, and that's when we was going for top 4 and needed to cement it. And we didn't do any business in January. So just bear that in mind. Please bear that in mind. Despite that upward trajectory of Arsenal going for league titles in the last couple of years, do bear that in mind. Trust me. Save yourself the pain. Yes. Because my Arsenal brothers in the chat, man, I have to give them a shout, man. I call him RJ Williams, man. The best Williams I know since Richard Williams and Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Big up, bro. Good morning, everyone. Big up, Albert. Hope you're well. Get well soon, Saka. Yeah, so he's done well, RJ, not to have missed a number of games in the 3 years, especially. Yes, another Arsenal brother, man. Come on, lad. Good morning, Albert, and everyone in the chat. Interesting what Arsenal will do with the front line next game and in the window now. Looking forward to what we do. Listen, we've got some big games. We've got Ipswich on going to 2 days after Christmas Day. And then we have we've got Brentford away on the 1st of January. That's going to be tough, man. I mean, they lost their first game at home yesterday to Nottingham Forest. Wow, the form they're on, people. Big up Dave and Ben Dorr, man. My two amazing Forest geezers, man. They're playing well for us, looking good. But yeah, Brentford was one game at home this season. Their away form was terrible though. Jesus, man. But yeah, man, at the back, Russ, I'm glad you touched on that. The first half, flipping hell. Saliba, man, I messaged the guys in the group chat, and I very rarely message in any group chat, my own or any others. I said, Saliba needs to wake up fast, man. I mean, he almost made the mistake actually when we went 2-1. Great strike, by the way. A set piece again, and you guys would have seen the stat during the game. If I can find it, where's it gone? It was. Bear with me, people. It was. Was it 20? Was it over? Was it corner kick, stroke set pieces, or just corner kicks over the past 2 seasons in Europe? Arsenal scored the most with 24 goals. It's an incredible asset to have. I think we're above Borussia Mönchengladbach. Was it Dortmund or was it Leverkusen, the other team? But that's a phenomenal tool to have in your Arsenal. Excuse the pun. 24 goals from corners, stroke set pieces is amazing. There are different ways to skin a cat, but what we did see with Arsenal, we saw more goals in open play. But yeah, listen, it's a great finish by Jesus, by the way. Partey lays it off, good layback, and top bins. Beautiful finish. A year ago, 6 months ago, 5 weeks ago, he would not have scored that. That would have hit Rose Ed in the stands. But it's amazing what confidence can do when scoring goals. And yeah, great finish to go 2-1. But going back to the defense, what Russ brought up and Fury brought up in the chat, I don't know what was going on yesterday. Saliba was having an off day, and it can happen, man. It can happen. He's human. He's human. It can happen. But yeah, that was that. Arsenal was just defensively. Raya had that moment, like I said, with the pass to Partey. He had the mistake, which big up to David Raya being on his feet. Great save from, I think it was John Philip Mateta. But yeah, is very sloppy in the first half. Very, very. Even though he was 2-1 up. Not great, man. But we had a key moment on minute 23. And you guys will know what I'm talking about. Because it was... I've actually not got the picture, believe it or not. I thought I did. Bukayo Saka went down, man. On minute 23. And you saw it straight away when he made the cross. He went straight to his hamstring. They said that he left he was on crutches. So I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to throw anything out. I'll leave the Twitter brigade to do that. Jeez, man. But not good. And like I mentioned earlier, about 2 minutes ago, he's done very, very well. He's very durable, Saka. Very durable, whether that be from being kicked all over the pitch to the consistency of games that Mikel Arteta plays him in. It was bound to happen. And I don't think there's ever going to be any particular game it was going to happen. It just happened to happen yesterday in the London derby against Palace. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. Arsenal got some very important games coming up. And we're going to need him. But then what it's going to do is it's going to give somebody an opportunity to step up into the team, depending on how long he's going to be out for. Ethan, who knows, may get a berth. Trossard, Martinelli. It's been a mishmash of them two in terms of their consistency and their form. They've not really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck this season. For me personally, I don't think either of them have in our front line. But listen, they may have an opportunity depending on how long how long Saka is out for. Saka. God, that's a tongue twister. Let me come to the chat quickly. Let me see. Yeah, the defense was not good in the first half yesterday. Trust me, it's a good thing I didn't do a watch along. I know Potsy done one of these channels, so he might have been having kittens back when watching that. Yeah, he was in the crutches. He was, man. It's mad. Let me come to chat quickly again. There you go. You get your opportunity now. Going to be interesting. And of course, sorry, I forgot to mention top of the screen. Arsenal have got Newcastle in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. For people that have got red membership, the tickets for the Carabao Cup game go on sale on Monday at 10 a.m. So people get your ballot entries in, and I think the ticket ballot for the Man United game in the FA Cup opened on Friday, I believe, and is going to close on Monday at 10 a.m. So people, get your entries in ASAP. But you know what? It's expensive to go and watch Arsenal, so I'm gonna have to pick and choose. So I will apply for the ballot for the game for. You know what? It probably works out better to apply for a United game because it's Sunday. I won't have to worry about work. But I don't want to go to Newcastle one, and we owe them, man. But I think I might apply for a Newcastle game. But listen, man, we're going 3-1 at half time. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought we was incredibly disjointed in the first half. Incredibly disjointed. I'm not a Palace fan, so I don't have to worry about how they were defensively, but because I don't think they were great, if I'm going to be honest. Hence the reason why they let us in quite a few times. But yeah, it's a very disjointed performance by Arsenal in the first half. I didn't think it was amazing. We found ourselves 3-1 up, unbelievably. Set pieces and open play goals, which is quite a nice balance. Which is quite a nice balance. But yeah, the ballot. Sorry to cut and come back again. Yeah, but the ballot's been all over the place. I actually missed the ballot for the Man City game, which has annoyed me. I didn't know when it was. So when I did see it, I saw it on the day that it was the last day to enter it. But the time I saw it, I'd finished work. It was like Monday evening, so I was quite annoyed. But yeah, just apparently there's a ballot diary you can sort of put it to your phone. If that's true? If there is, I might have to look into that. Are you sure, Suj? We missed the cold weather. You know what? The cold hasn't been that bad yet. It'll probably kick in a little bit more. I'd have thought maybe January, definitely February. Jesus, man. Mad. But yeah, listen, we found ourselves 3-1 up. I don't think we particularly played that well, if I'm going to be honest. But did Arsenal learn anything coming into the second half? No. And you'll know what I mean by that while I say that, and I'll give a bit of context to it. Because they almost scored within the first 2 minutes. I think it wasn't Mateta, it was Ismail Shah header from David Raya. David Raya, listen, apart from obviously the odd kind of moments in the first half, he made some big saves. He made some very big saves. They had chances at 2-1, and they had chances when we were 3-1. And if he doesn't save those, and if Palace get a goal, it is a completely different ball game. We are under pressure, and it's a case of how are Arsenal going to manage the game. And I have to give a shout out to David Raya. I don't know if in the chat, James. I mentioned it probably a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to speak for myself when I say this. I feel unbelievably super reassured with him in goal. And that's the biggest compliment I can pay him. Yes, we can talk about the back four in front of him. But if you ask the back four in front of him in terms of how confident they feel and how assured they feel, they will absolutely verify that, because we've got this guy in goal. I think he played a key part in us getting that result yesterday, and that should not be underplayed. Yes, it was a 5-1 result away from home against a team that have lost 1 in 8, or unbeaten in 6. Is that right at Palace? I'm not too sure. I think I got that right. But yeah, he made some key saves today, David Raya. So fair play to him, man. Because if he hadn't made them saves, as I mentioned before, it would have been a completely different ball game. Absolutely different ball game. So yeah, we didn't learn a thing in the start of the second half because they almost scored Crystal Palace. So I'm like, for goodness sake, Arsenal, wake up here defensively. And Jamie Carragher made the point, as you guys would have heard it or wherever you watched the game. He was crying out for Declan Rice to come on at half time, because the spaces we were leaving in the middle of the park, where Partey a lot of the time for me was getting isolated, and they were running past him. And Jamie Carragher was calling for a sub at half time. I'm sure some of the Arsenal fans at the game that's watching it, and he made the substitution on 57 minutes. He had a double sub. He brought on Calafiore and Declan Rice and took off Kai Havertz and Lewis Skelly. Big up to Lewis Skelly, by the way. Listen, we've spoken about for many years as Arsenal fans, right? Where Arteta doesn't believe in the youth, he doesn't trust in the youth. Maybe some of them haven't cut the grade. He's obviously felt with Lewis Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri that they're ready. The only way these guys are going to be ready is if the manager gives them minutes and gives them experience. I don't think you can go through too many games a season where you pick and choose where you play these boys. You have to give them the wide berth. We have injuries. You believe they're good enough to be in the match day squads. Play them. Lewis Skelly, brilliant again. The more minutes he gets, the more confident he's going to get. He looks more assured in an Arsenal shirt. He gives us balance on when he plays at left back instead of playing Timber over there and party at right back. Like Russ has mentioned in the chat, square pegs and round holes or whatever you said, something like that. You know what I mean? But Mikel needs to stop doing that, man. He needs to stop doing that and give the better balance to the side. Like I said, playing Partey in midfield again, playing Lewis Skelly at left back and playing Timber at right back. Play to your strengths. Play to your strengths, and try and get us back in this title race because we're playing catch up. We are playing catch up. They've got 2 games behind Liverpool, but we narrowed the gap. But yeah, just when Rice came on, I thought he was excellent. I thought he was excellent when he came on. I thought he was brilliant. And I want to ask you guys in the chat actually. Let me come back a second. I'll double down on that. Sorry. Martinelli got a goal. Great for his confidence. And I think he's always going to be a talking point this season, Martinelli, in regards to does he do enough? Now, people can say he scored yesterday. Yes, he did score yesterday. Does he do enough to affect games? And the answer is no. There's some things in his game. It's not just a case of, I've mentioned before for quite a couple of years, his decision making. But I think there are a lot of factors with him at the moment where it wasn't clicking. His finishing, his decision making, his ability to beat his fullback, all those kind of things were missing in his game a little bit. But he got the goal yesterday, so very, very pleased for him again for confidence and to justify. And I thought he did okay on the right hand side of the pitch. In the first half, wasn't too sure, but I thought the second half, he was good. I think that switch up of him playing on the right probably helped him a little bit, being a right-footed player, because he's not going to cut in too many times on his left, which you have to do to vary up a bit, have a bit more variety to your game. But I thought he did okay when he's on the right-hand side of the pitch. And that's only going to be a good thing to have a bit more fluidity in this Arsenal front line and a bit more interchange for me would be a help. Would be a start for me. But yeah, coming to Declan Rice. Yeah, I thought he done well when he come on. I thought he was very good, Declan Rice, yesterday. That he give us that power, the progression up the pitch, which he was leading stats wise for in that sort of the last season for West Ham before he came to us. He does give you that. I'm interested to know what you guys think in the chat about him, because there is a debate with him whether he's better as a 6 or an 8, which is a debate I didn't think we'd actually have when he signed for Arsenal. When we signed him, I thought my own personal opinion was I thought we signed him as a 6, even with Partey at the club. But it doesn't mean you play as a 6. You just stay at the base or the tipping point of a midfield trio or double, or you sit in front of the back four. Declan Rice has proved he can be box to box. So it doesn't mean you have to be restrictive of being a 6 and being, playing that role in the days of Claude Makelele or Didier Deschamps. He offers more than that, Declan Rice. But I think the fact we're still having a conversation now, whether he's an 8 or a 6, I think passing ability wise, he needs to get better. I think at times for me, he takes too many touches and he could release it a lot quicker. But that's not to say that I don't like Declan Rice as a player, because I think he brings a lot to Arsenal. But I think there's a continual debate whether he's better as a 6 or an 8. So people chuck it in the chat, or when you watch this back, or watching this now live on X stroke Twitter, and on YouTube as well. You saw in terms of him being an 8, what an asset he can be. Because for me, he should have a lot. To me, it was no coincidence that last season he had his best return in terms of goals and assists. And he got that in his first season at Arsenal. So for me, he can add more assists to his game. And when I say passable, but what I mean is when you watch Thomas Partey play in a deeper position, he dissects the midfield with that forward pass and bring in your more intricate and more skillful players into the game. I think Declan Rice can develop that a lot more. We obviously I didn't know he was very good at set pieces in terms of taking them, but that's another string to his bow. But for me, it's his passing, and I think he will get more goals and assists this season for Arsenal. And to be honest, he should do, because he's a threat. He is a threat, and we need more goals in this Arsenal side, because for the simple fact that we have neglected not buying a striker for the past since Aubameyang left, basically, but Aubameyang and Lacazette. But yeah, it's an interesting debate with Declan Rice. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out, sort of for the remainder of the season. But there's parts of him that I think he can play the 8. But there's times when I watch him, I think, you know what, you're better in the 6 position. But Partey's our best player in the 6. And he's a better passer. So it's a good conundrum. And Thomas Partey is not going to be here forever. So in terms of from a developmental part of it, in terms of Declan Rice's passing ability, short passing ability needs to develop a bit more. He can hit the 40, 50-yard passes. He can hit them in his sleep. But it's that dissecting the opposition midfield setup and passing the ball a bit quicker through the lines. That's my observation, Declan Rice, personally. Let me come to chat quickly, man. You guys are firing in the chat, man. Let me come to chat quickly. Audio listeners, I'm just going through the chat box a moment to see what my Arsenal community is saying. Yeah, well, Jenny, they're about it. Jesus. Davray needs to get some flowers. He does. Mistakes. So no flowers from me. He redeemed himself after Saliba's mistake, by the way. Yeah, he's not very but who is let's be honest. Yeah, it's true. Let me come to the chat quickly. Anyone saying? Let me see. Is that about Declan you're talking about, Ryan? He needs to do more. He keeps running with his head down, which is giving me. Oh, you thought Martinelli. Yeah, people, tell me your thoughts about Declan Rice. That's my observations personally. Rice, baby, for Jetty. Yeah, beautiful goal, by the way. Beautiful goal. Great strike. He's a good striker of the ball, Declan Rice. So I expect to see him hit more 20, 25 yarders in the top bins or bottom corners. Trust me. But yeah, listen, 5 goals away from home. Goals from open play, goals from set pieces, and we move on to Norwich. We move on to Ipswich at home on the 27th. So people, I'm not going to stay long. I'm actually going to wrap it up, to be honest with you. Any housekeeping? None yet. We just want to know if Saka is not too serious. That's the only thing. That's the only thing for me. But yeah, let me do a little housekeeping before I go. I need to update more of Russ. I need to go on Russ's Instagram and get his pictures up. But people, big up my good friend Guna Russ, who does some amazing print work, artwork. Now, for audio listeners, you obviously can't see it, but I'm just going to explain it. But for visual people on the YouTube channel and on Facebook and also on X, Russ does amazing Arsenal prints that I've got displayed on the screen. I've got his Instagram detail going along the bottom of the screen and his email. So when you do watch this back, people, please go and check out Russ. It's a brilliant work. He's got his stuff on Instagram and on his Facebook page. But do check out the Instagram more so. And I've got his details in the link in the bio. Let me find another picture with me buying one of the prints. There it is, people. And you can actually see it when you're watching this live stream. It's over my shoulder, in between my head and my Christmas tree. Russ, big up to you, man. So people, do check out Guna Russ for his amazing Arsenal print work. And I'll lead you to that way. So people do check it out, please. So that's the housekeeping I have to do. If I can get myself back on screen now. Where am I gone now? There I am. There is, people. Get Russ's work ASAP. Let me get the banner off the screen. Let me come to chat quickly. Of course, I love you too, Jen. Love Russ as well. But people, big up to the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. And if you don't know what to do by now, people, it's unbelievable because you should know what to do. This is what you should do by now. And there you have it, people. Subscribe to Albert J TV. All the listeners, you're probably thinking, what was that music? It is a little intro to subscribe to Albert J TV and also to look out for the downloads. But big up to people for the support for the channel. Because this will probably be, I might do a couple of streams before Christmas, the big day. If I don't get the chance, it'll be the last stream before Christmas. But big up to my audio listeners. I did put some content out or stuff on my social media talking about my audio platform for the year. Big up to the subscribers and people who listen to the audio. It is another way to listen to the channel other than just through the visual kind of way. And big up to Tom Canton for our best episode of 2024 was when we drew Bayern Munich in the Champions League last season. That was my most listened to show. So big up to Tom Canton for that. Hearing his Cantonian dulcet tones and my South East London dulcet tones. So yeah, follow the audio platform, please, people, and spread the word, and obviously subscribe to Albert J TV as well. So people, get your virtual waves and goodbyes in now because I'm going to disappear and go and prep and continue the last little bits of Christmas bits to do. So I'm off to my little sisters, because she's going to be hosting this year. Big up to little sis, man, little cherish. People, that is Albert J TV, over and out for another show. Sunday morning special. Gabriel Jesus, confidence is through the roof. 5 goals in 2 games. Should have got a hat-trick. But listen, we move to Ipswich Town at home on the 27th of December. People, big up for 2024. Love you to bits from Albert J TV. Hashtag we move. Hashtag up the Arsenal.